Hello, everyone. This is Alper from BAS Services and Graphics. This will be our first podcast on EnergyDVR dashboard. We will wait for a few moments for everybody to join in. Here, just giving another couple minutes to for everybody to join in. So um, you can send us a group chat from the chat window as well. Okay, we will start the conference. It has been 5 minutes, and let's get everybody more informed about the Energy DVR application. First of all, it is created within the PX, and everything runs inside the PX within the Niagara framework. It has more options such as grabbing the data, live and historical data from SkySpark. It has other features like playing back the historical data. And let's get started on demonstrating a few parts of it. You can see that we have a KW gauge, KWH gauge in here. All the data in here is basically a demo data, so it's a dummy data. This area, we basically have the background colors separated for their use. So you have the orange area, which is part of the Energy DVR. The main area is charts. It goes through per equipment, and you can basically look at the point and the historical data per equipment. On the right area, we have the widgets that give us the conversions from the energy saved based on the Department of Energy data, and you can create multiple different types of these as you wish. The second feature, one of the DVR feature works in this order. You click on the live mode. Now we are in historical mode, and our time is shown right here. So we are actually looking at the data on this date, and we can basically click play, and it will play that data for us. So you will see that the gauge will start moving on the top, and to a different location. We can also stop it and click here and go to another date, and you will see a lot more data now, and we can basically just play that data back for our needs. You can speed up the playback or slow it down as you wish. You'll see only this area is affected by the DVR functionality, as we have shown it with rounded corner backgrounds. We can click on the floor plan, and this will take us to the floor plan page. In here, what we have is we have the radius feature, we have transparency, and we can change the color types, the gradient types. And we can also disable and enable different layers as well. And this is all done within the PX. The main feature in here is the ability to play back the historical data. So you can see that once you click here, you will see that the data is played back on a given day. So you can easily find the troubled spots within a floor plan or within a zone. And you can also change the parameters that you're looking for. In this case, we have Fahrenheit. You could look for humidity, you could look for energy consumption, and things like that. So you can switch the layers really, really quickly. So we have played a day of data within less than 10 seconds. We'll move on to the AHU. The AHU is a little gimmick. What it is that you're seeing the data being played from SkySpark. Actually, the data is pushed through an haystack driver to SkySpark, and we're playing that back. You can see that we are in SkySpark mode. If you zoom in, you will see the data is basically every 15 minutes. That is because we have his totalized functionality applied to these Exxon rules. You can play this data back. So if you're in a JSON environment and you have restricted amount of data storage, you could purchase SkySpark through us, or you could through other dealers as well. And you will be able to play that data back within this system. The beauty of it is that you can, again, select different dates. I haven't saved any data. This is just a demonstration purposes. And you can store a lot of data within SkySpark and play that back easily. This is really good as an analogy. I look at this as the tree knows the branch and the trunk. We are aware of what's going around within our facilities, and we'll go and demonstrate that a little bit more further in the trending application. The other option that we have is basically that we can switch our data source from SkySpark to OBX. This is a good feature if you're in the JSON environment and you want to quickly compare your data results between the OBX and the SkySpark. You can easily do that. You can see that our display names are changing. Our search button is changing based on OBX and SkySpark. So that's seamless to the customer as well. Here's a plant view. It just makes it really easy to look at how your chiller is operating. And you can leverage your existing visualizations with copy and paste to PX. And you add a couple of widgets to generate these pages. So this is the DVR feature between floor plan, AHU, and plant. We're going to look at into the VAV. It works the same way. We could add the SkySpark method in here as well. It's a couple clicks to add them. And you will see that the playback feature is working pretty neat. The next feature that we have in here is that you can scroll down in the area. So this is all rendered in Flash. You can select any of the sites and you can play that data back. The next feature that we have is inside the trends, you can basically have the whole trends within one screen. And we call it dynamic trends because currently we're looking at it in one day. You can click here and go to, let's say, for 6 months of data. Once you find out that there's not much data, when you zoom in, our roll-up automatically updates. So as we zoom in more, you will see that our data will get more denser, so you don't lose any of the gaps within the system. You can take a look at it in a monthly view. If you zoom into a day, you'll get more data. If you zoom into an hour, you'll get more data. So it simplifies the way you look at this data and understand what is going on in your system. Again, you can click here and change any of the points that is being visible in here. You can also click X in here to turn those off as well. We can just turn the VAV 1 and 2 on, and that would basically load the data for the VAV 1 and 2 zone temperatures. Looks like there's a little bug in there that we can take a look. Yeah, there's a little bug in there. We were trying to get all the little parts here and there, but it can be fixed really quickly. The next feature is the table DVR. We call this table DVR because you can make a BQL query. This is basically this table is created with a BQL query. And from that BQL query, you can basically see all the points, and you also do a couple of bindings to have background colors changes attached to them as well. So this is a simplified way to look at all your data. And if you're worried about something was not working correctly at a certain date, you can just go to that date and just zoom into that area within the system. We will add filtering in the future as well. You can just play that data back. So in here, what you're seeing is when the temperature is below a certain threshold, it is blue color. If it's in certain area, it's green, and then it gets red after it gets hot. You can apply this to multiple points as well. We could do this for a zone temperature, and we'll go through that in a second. The other feature in here is that we can export this. We can stop it at certain point, and you need to send it to somebody. You can just export this to a file, to a PDF, and we'll show you how the PDF looks like. You will see right at that time of the day, this is the values for all those tables, and you can see the line at that given point along with the chart. So this is a good way just to look at it. We will add other options in the future, like CSV and things like that. Most of the CSV things we would most likely be leveraging the SkySpark. It is a lot easier to grab the data out of it. The next feature is within the trending system. We have a drag and drop historian trending. So what you're seeing is the site equipment and points within the SkySpark. So, and these points are basically within this JSON. And I can drag and drop and look at the data in this format. I can compare it with another discharge temperature. I would just have to drag and drop that. So you can see that this is just the dummy data, and it's just playing nicely within the same region. Okay. You can switch it to a bar chart, so it's easier to read, and you can take a look at individual data. You can look at it monthly. So here's July 2nd, July 3rd. You can also do comparisons as well, and you can go to advanced and compare it to previous period, and this would basically compare any data today versus yesterday. So if we look at it through a period of between 1st and 3rd, and you can compare it to the previous period. Currently, this application does not have a lot of data. This is demo data, and I will show those features with the demo database. You can communicate the multiple SkySpark instances with this application. Let's take a look at the metadata historian. So what this is doing is we have some metadata added in here. These are from project-haystack.org. So we are adding zone, temp, SP, and we can knot this. And now we have all the zone temperatures within each device. And I can basically apply, and you can see we are folding the columns uh, for all the points, and you can compare it to a previous time as well. You can do it hourly, you can do it minutely. It's up to you to look at how you want to look at your data. Let's take a look at the trends within the drag and drop historian demo. This is the demo station within SkySpark. So it has a little bit more data within the system. So if I drag and drop the zone temperature and I look at it a monthly data, we can go into this year and I'll look at it monthly. We'll switch it to the bar chart. I can compare this to previous period as well. So it adds a little bit more easy to look at the data quickly on the runtime. The other features that is in here is that I can take the zone temperatures and look at it between 76 and 86. So we only have one time, that's July 2nd. Let's take a look at it like a daily view. So right now we are looking at each day when it was between 76 and 86. So you can compare the years and as well as just look at the raw data. You can also compare the temperatures between locations as well, if they're within close proximity. So you can look at the zone temperature of another site, Gaithersburg, and in this case, it has never been below 76. So it's a good way to look at your historical data really quickly and understand what's going on. The third one is the same database. We are looking at zone temperature set points. And you can do easy profiling within here. We can do this year and roll it up a month. We can look at the data in bar charts, and you can see how the zone temperature is rising up within the system and what are the averages of the zone temperatures as well. Of course, this is using Haystack, so you can use any kind of tags. You can have KW. So we would have the KW main, the headquarters. We just need the main and the main here. So we can again take a look at the KW usage really quickly within per site. You can do it this month and compare it to previous month. This is another option within the system. So if it's a lot of data to understand what's happening, you can basically just turn off and individually look at the data. One of them is the previous month, and it has increased on energy usage or decreased. This just makes it really easy to prototype and look at your data, slice and dice it with a couple clicks within the parameters in here. Let's go back to the home page. So within the home page, you can roll these items up as well within individual units. So let's take a look how this is achieved within the Tritium system. We'll go through the first one, the AHU. This is the home page. We'll go through the home page. So as you see, this is all done within the PX. It's using the EnergyDVR. This is using the BAS template Mavi templating system, and you can use it without the templating system as well. We're just using it to make it easy to demonstrate. You can create your own templates with the template Mavi. It saves you a lot of time creating the pages. So what we have here is we have a couple PX includes, and one of them is the template, and the other one is the graphic home. And we have a bunch of PX includes and gauges around it. Let's take a look what's going on here. We have a DX gauge extension that has a value in there. And we have the alert level set to 250. And we have the maximum swing length and the swing length start. And we have the font. So once you bind it to a point, it basically renders it within the system. It's the same for all these 4 widgets. You just do one binding and set the parameters in here. This is basically just a bound label widget. In the background, we have a round bound label widget. All it has is a radius global 10 for the radius on the corners of the edge. This is basically the 10 radius that's basically mapped from that widget property. We have put it all the way down, so it's looking at the data from the background. In here we have the DVR timeline, and down here we have a big chart. And it might look very complicated. It's actually pretty simple. This basically looks at how you want to map your charts, and for the default load. You got the roll-up operation, and you can split the charts, and a couple properties that you can basically use. You go in here and add a binding. The first binding we have is the DVR charts binding, and it has a property called binding type. The binding type can be either table query, point, or a base. So if it is a base meaning is we need to list the points under a given location. It's the base is the points that is underneath this window. So you can easily find the points under a certain system. Also, you could make that ORD a relative ORD as well, and that will. You can create one VAB and it will go through the base ORDs. These are the points that are automatically loaded when the flash file loads into the system. So these are your default points. The only thing that you have to do in here is put the binding and put the point. This is all that you have to do to set up a DVR page. The other thing that you need to do is you can watch it in the videos is the history path capturer to capture the history IDs. Let's take a look at what is going on here. We have a PX include in this window, and within this PX include we have a PX path, a max number. So these are the maximum number of PXs with the underscore separator. We have the autoplay set to false. We have it set to true on another location that you will see. The animation selection is auto, and we have a view class called page switcher. Let's take a look at these widgets. This is a widget called PX previous button, and it has an image in there called back.png. And we can have the view class as page switcher. In here we have a PX next button, and it has the view class the page switcher. These are related with the PX include based on this view class. So if that view class was different, these buttons will not do anything. Let's take a look on how it works. All it does is it goes through page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, and it will just keep rotating. Let's go on to these right here. In here, we have a PX include with a PX animation binding for the PX. And we have the number of the separator is an underscore, which is the underscore right there. Maximum number of PX pages, so it will go page 1 and 2, and then we'll revert around. And we have a view class called energy saved. This one is set to autoplay at 20 seconds, so you can automatically see that it will rotate every 20 seconds. It is exactly the same setup in here. We have a PX include, and we have a PX in there, and it will rotate around it automatically. This is it on how to set up the home page. And let's look into the floor plan. As you can imagine, floor plan can be a little bit more complicated to set up, but it is not that complicated. It's actually pretty simple. If you have watched our template Mavi videos, we basically put all of our graphics within this graphics area. So we'll go to Workbench graphic. We'll go into edit mode, and let's open up the canvas pane and layers. We have the same widgets, the DVR mode, the date picker, the control panel, the time label. In here, we have a widget called heat map control. What this does is, this is the properties to change the presets. You can set up the default layer to load. You can enable the degrade click and things like that. It's pretty self-explanatory, and we will have documentation on those. We have a slider. It's the regular slider widget, and within the slider widget, we have a slider widget binding. That binding is doing something to a target group. We are doing it to the property called shape alpha, and we are changing the property type called numeric. We will get into that in a second. Let's take a look at, from here, what is temperature HM layer. The temperature HM layer has all those widgets within it. If you look at one of the widgets within that temperature HM, you will see a widget ID binding that has the temperature HM and it's static. So all it does is, when you are within the slider, the temperature HM layer goes into any widget that is under this layer that has a property called shape alpha set at the output of the slider. So you are basically leveraging the grouping feature within the layers to be able to set the alpha of the heat map. This button is a regular toggle button. Within the toggle button, we have a button widget binding. We set the true text and the false text. We are changing all the widgets under the temperature HM group. We are setting the property visible on or off. We are also doing a couple other bindings to the button groups and changing the text on a widget in that corner. So all these property bindings are done through widget ID, which registers the classes, and then widget change property binding. You can change any of the properties that are mapped within the Flash system. If you start using it and you see that something is not mapped, let us know and we will add it to the application. The same thing is happening within this disabled. So with that said, let's take a look at it. It will make more sense. When I click on this, it basically turns the widgets off, widget-to-widget interaction within that system. When I click on this, it turns them on. And when I put the slider, it looks at the widgets. If it has a certain property, it sets it at a certain level, which is the set alpha. We are just changing the widgets set alpha feature in there. That is it for the floor plan heat map. We could also easily overwrite the data mapping to be taken from SkySpark. And the way you do that is really simple. You don't have to do anything within the page. All you have to do is you go into the PX include and you change the connector binding. We have all the connections stored within the system under drivers and config. We have BAS dashboard, SkySpark, and these are our default connections. And I'll show you what it is in a second. And in here, you can change the live data and the historical data mapping. And you can change how the calls are made based on the mapping type. The mapping type, you can have haystack markers. You can assign the markers, rec IDs underneath it, or you can automatically find it via nhaystack, AX slot path, and other things like SkySpark OBX or history path capture. So these are your options on how to override a mapping to grab the data from a different resource. The next feature that I will demonstrate is the trend window. It is very, very simple. You don't have to do much to it. All you have to do is drag and drop this widget, and you add a couple properties, and you add your bindings in here and how you want to look at it in your base. Currently, I'm looking at all the histories within the system. Let's take a look into the table DVR. That's a little bit more complex than other ones because we're going into BQL queries, and we will have a full session demonstrating that as well. So we have a bound table, so it gives us some reference what's going on in here. And we have a BQL call just to give us some feedback in here. But the main call is right here. We have one query that basically looks at the whole data and generates our table. And we can, based on the results of the query, we can hide the columns that we don't want to be seen. We can sort the columns. You can say nav or display name out. You can the slack path column is where the real values are within that column. You set that out, and what you want to see is out within that system. So just like CSS, what we are doing is we are creating a class name based on, we call it a color name based on what that row has. So out column, where row has discharge temp, we give it a color name discharge temp. And we take that discharge temp and we apply it for a color binding, 070, and we are changing the background color. It's basically that. We can literally just add all kinds of different color changes for the background by just adding these properties. If you look at it within the table DVR, you will see that we have the out. Wherever the row has a discharge temp, we name it, and then we add color bindings to change the background colors on it. And not only that, this table DVR, you can look at the data easily. You can go into the DVR mode, and you can change which points you want to look at it in here. You can just focus on certain ones if you like. So we're just looking at the VAV3, and you could just sort it to the VAV3 area and take a look at the data along with the chart. So this is the feature for the table DVR. Let's take a look at how the SkySpark trending drag and drop historian work. If you look at the drag and drop historian, it only has 2 widgets. Let's go to the page for the drag and drop. This is the local site. Within here, what we have is workbench graphic, and all we have is 2 widgets, SCP, BAS navigation SCP, and the BAS chart SCP. We can go to the workbench area and look at the PX include, and you see live SkySpark history, and we have this binding to a component. Let's take a look at that component really quick. It's a special component that we have written. It encrypts the password once you save it in here. I'm just going to create a new one here, duplicate this demo one. So if I put all my SkySpark connection credentials, I can just type anything here. What it does is it will encrypt it, MD5, and we basically read that string, decrypt it, and connect to SkySpark. So this is our methodology to pass the login information to our Flash application. And within the PX include connection override, we override the connection where it needs to connect to. So if you look at the drag and drop historian demo, it's just another page generated. It only has those 2 widgets in there, and we only override the connection to the PX include with the override PX include connection binding. And we override it to SkySpark and history. That's pretty much it on how to override the connections. There are other features within the dashboard that has not been demonstrated. Let me just go and demonstrate those within here. you can actually have a Flash video load within the Flash. So you can create a FLA file and you will be able to load it. It can automatically switch the pages based on the navigation. This, as you can see, this one is going to a component, which is the template Mavi. This is going to the PX. So you can switch between, you can select if you just want to have a PX, you can create your dashboard only for the PX system. Of course, just like Niagara, the PX system cannot have relativization. So if you're doing a big project, you would have to have a way to you would have to use the templating system to have the relativization done. Other things, other than that, it's pretty much the same, and all the widget layouts are the same, exactly the same. The other feature that is not in the main demo is being able to write the values, and I will demonstrate that on a separate dashboard. In this dashboard, we have some points, and we have a PX binding done to a point. And all it does is we can literally go in there and set our points to true or false. We can auto it, so now we just nulled it. I can set it to true at fault, which is set. I can enable, so there's widget-to-widget interaction going on here that locks and unlocks a few of the widgets, and I can click on it to turn the point to false. I can override it to turn the point on. The same thing can be done for string writables. I can go in here, EnergyDVR rocks, and this basically overrides it at 1. I can auto that. If it's overwritten here, you would click auto to auto that as well. The second part is that you can on the slider you can slide the points to be overridden. So right now it's overridden at 8. We could go here and auto this, and now we are writing at 80 at default. You can use the slider, or you could just use 25. It works the same. On the 8 and the other ones, you have the plus or minus. So you can do 81, 78. So the flexibility is there, how you want to set the set points. Let's take a look at how this is accomplished really quick. I will open that page. So what we have in here is the interface, and all it does, all we have is a widget ID binding with an attribute called Writable at certain file. Once you click on that Writable at file, it goes and looks at to that numeric to that PX file, and that PX file has all the necessary items to be able to write to that point. We will add more tools to be able to assign these automatically. We will have PX editor to simplify those. But currently, this is the best solution that we found, and we're using the the variables within the system and passing it to that point. You will be able to download these and grab those. The other feature that is not shown in the main dashboard is the degrading, and that's the degrade click. If you have a floor plan that's a mechanical layout, and if you have the mechanicals underneath it, in Tritium you wouldn't be able to click on it. Let's take a look at this system, and the degrade click. You can basically be able to click on it. The way that is achieved is pretty simple. Let's take a look at the workbench graphic, and we have an ID binding, and we have an attribute called degrade click. We have multiple attributes like this, and we will be making a list of all the attributes within the widget ID bindings. So this is it for the EnergyDVR dashboard overall, how it is put together. It's all using the Tritium. I would be glad to answer any of your questions that you have. You can look at more videos on baslearning.com, and we will also have more documentation on Wikipedia on baslearning.com as well. You can find all of the company links on bas.co domain name. We have the wiki and the video short links within those URLs. I will wait for 5 minutes before closing the session. If you have any questions, feel free to type it in the group chat, and I will try to answer your questions. So I'm just checking the demonstration page. You can ask your questions right on the page, or you can just do it on the group chat, or you could just email me on my email address as well. Either way. Just waiting a couple more minutes for questions. I'm not sure if everybody's just watching it through the Hangout Air. That might be the case why we don't have audio. Okay, we can wrap it up here then. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And this is all already bundled in the BAS Maker package. It comes with the JASes already bundled in. You can test it out if you need to learn more about SkySpark and grabbing the data from SkySpark. Feel free to contact us on that as well. And thank you very much for your time. Have a great 4th of July.